Welcome back, Blade Gang. This old sword with you once again, and a really beautiful classic fixed blade I have to show you today. Wangled a nice deal with my good friend Bob DeMarco from the Knife Junkie channel, and we swapped out some stuff, and when I first saw him review this knife, I was very, very impressed, having had several Randall knives in the past and actually gone to their shop in Orlando way back in the 80s to buy some blades down there. Unfortunately, when I thought I had stopped collecting, they got sold, and many years later I don't have them. And the price of Randall's has gone up way higher than it was back then. Then again, inflation and whatnot. But without chattering on too much, let me show you the Blackjack made by Bark River, Randall Model 1. I don't know, we call it a copy. We don't like to use the word clone, but it is fashioned exactly after the Randall Model 1, the very famous first knife, I believe, designed by Bo Randall. I think this harkens back to the 30s and was used by many servicemen in the theater of combat known as World War II, and Korea, and probably Vietnam, and so forth. I'm sure some of the more recent battles as well. So this is, we're going to call it an exact copy of the Randall number 1. The Randall number 2 is a double-edged knife. This is a slender Bowie clip. Beautiful work has been done by Bark River on this CPM 3V blade. Now CPM 3V, if you give me just a moment, I'd like to share a little bit with you from the app that I use called Knife Steel Compositions. If we pull up 3V, or actually we'll call it CPM 3V and 3V, same thing. So you can do a little screenshot of that if you'd like. It's kind of glossy. But introduced in 1997. Its predecessor, now discontinued, Vasco die steel. Simply put, CPM 3V is a powder metallurgy version of the Vasco die steel. It's one of the toughest tool steels available, especially interesting considering its high wear resistance. In other words, there are tougher tool steels, AISI-S1 steel, for example, but none have the comparable wear resistance. CPM 3V also has 7.5% of chromium, I believe, which definitely helps in the corrosion resistance. So I don't know how you want to compare this with other tool steels like the popular D2 and so forth, but looks like and sounds like it is a superior steel for a combat knife, and this is a combat knife. This comes in other versions with an aluminum cap. I like this one, which is a really rich white micarta, ivory really micarta, and it has that aged appearance, so it looks very much like tusk ivory without being tusk ivory and not having to sacrifice a whole animal to get it, which is kind of nice. The crossguard is aluminum. I know that they use nickel silver on the original Randalls. Some other differences you can see right there where the tang slides into the handle. What you would see on a Randall is a soldered line in there, silver solder, to close that gap up so you don't get any debris in there that might ultimately rust the blade. So obviously a lower price point. Forget what these are coming in at. I think they're coming in at the 260 range or so forth. I didn't look that up. My apologies. You do have a nice lanyard hole. Did not come with a lanyard. Did come with this really nice cowhide sheath, which Bob's brother, I'm told, moved the retention strap from being high up there down to just above the guard, which I also feel it's where it belongs. Got a couple of straps here that look like they are dotted one-way straps. Yep. So you can put that on and off the belt, backpack, or what have you without having to slide it through. Let's do some quick specs, and then we're going to do some comparisons against some comparable sized blades. So this being the model 17, we should have a 7-inch blade, and we do, and we have an overall length of exactly a foot. So not a small knife. And it's just coming up just shy of 7 inches on my measure, but we're going to call it 7 inches. Got a cutting edge because of the choil of 6 inches. So the choil is something to note here in that you can lock your grip in and have a full rest for your forefinger there. You can also pinch it in here for finer work. You really can't get your thumb over the guard here onto that ramp very well. There's no jimping. They weren't doing a whole lot of jimping back when this knife was designed, and we're talking about the original Randall when I say that. We have some significantly thick blade stock, which is great in a knife like this, 5.5 millimeters. Handle comes in at 0.9 inches, and it's not supposed to be skinny. You're supposed to have something to hang on to. It's a little bit smooth, but this is going to work well with gloves or not gloves. And because the handle is getting wider towards the end, slipping off of the handle becomes a little more difficult, which is good. Obviously, with a pronounced double Killian guard, lower on the bottom and shorter on the top, you're not going to be running onto the blade at all. I mean, that's a complete stop right there. Not sure I want to do a weight, but maybe we'll give it a try. A small scale, large knife. So we've got a 9.22 ounce knife, I think, though. Whoops. Call it a 9.32 because I had the tip of the blade resting on the tabletop there. So yeah, it's the #1 model fighting knife. So this is the 1-7, which means Randall Model 1 7-inch blade. There is a 5-inch version, and there may be a longer and shorter version. I'm not 100% sure. I know definitely there's a 5-inch version. So designed to be a combat knife, worn on the belt in the old days. I also have on hand a Tops Viking Tactics, similarly lengthed blade. It's also, well, it's a little bit shorter, so it's coming in at around maybe 11 inches or so. Got a blade that's shorter. So the Model 1 is a bigger knife. Let's see what else we got on hand. Got the new Civivi that I reviewed recently. Pardon me, the name escapes me, but it is a Torgay knives design. If I'm getting any of that wrong, apologies. Hard to keep it all at the forefront of the mind, all the model names and numbers, but you can see that, you know, that's designed to sort of be a camping slash maybe tactical EDC use fixed blade. It's gotten mixed reviews, but I think it's, you know, kind of a slicer, chopper, food prep camp knife. Much thinner stock than the Blackjack. And I got one more on hand here, which is the Crosshair from Microtech. And that is a shorter knife, but definitely taller, definitely beefy, and double-edged. Now, the original Randalls did have the clip sharpened on the top for use as in back cuts, whether the knife was held this way and you're pulling towards you. Of course, in Kali technique, you have that circular kind of a jab you can use. This is a very lively knife. Best word I can find for it. It, for me, is going to be a collector. It certainly could be put to use without any problem whatsoever. That steel is one tough steel, that CPM 3V, and I would definitely trust it under just about any circumstances. You just need to, like with any tool steel that's high carbon, you just need to sort of give it some care, give it a little oil or silicone on it every now and then. Don't let it, any water or salt or what have you, stand on it. The aluminum guard, you know, that's going to be pretty inert. It's a little on the softer side. But then again, the original nickel silver on the Randalls was a little on the softer side as well. And it picks up some scratches. So, you know, that adds to the character over the years. I'm happy to have this. It's, I think probably my only complaint would be the heavy branding that Blackjack likes to do. But, you know, there's not much on the other side. So having that on the show side's not a deal breaker, not a showstopper. So I hope I've covered most of the little features of this, and let me mention we've got a really nice spacer there, kind of a four-way black, deep red burgundy, and white, all in a row there. Really nice feature. So I'll leave you with that as the last little feature of the knife. Hope you enjoyed the review of the Blackjack 1-7 Randall #1 fighting knife. Give this a like and don't forget to subscribe. Hope to see you soon.